Okay, let us look at how to write ionic formulas for these ions. I have beryllium and oxygen. Beryllium is a 2+, and oxygen is a 2-. Beryllium is group 2, and oxygen is group 6. Group 6 will always form a 2-. Beryllium, the group 2, will always have a 2+ charge. Therefore, I don't really have to make a whole lot of adjustment here because I have a +2 and a 2-, which means that I can write these, put these together, beryllium oxide as such, and I have a neutral ionic compound because the ions, the charges on both ions match. So that's an easy one. Now let's look at aluminum and then oxygen. And we said oxygen is a group 6, which means it has a 2- charge always. Aluminum is it's kind of one of those ions that it's in group 5, or let's see, group 3. So it will form a 3+. It's one of those that always forms a 3+. And now I don't have a match in charges, so I cannot put these just as ALO because they don't match. But remember what we talked about? I can take the charges of each ion and bring it down as a subscript for the other. And so therefore, my compound will have to be Al2O3. And if I were to double check my charges, my total negative charge is -6, my total positive charge is +6, and therefore I've written this correctly. Let's move on to the next one. I have sodium and sulfur. Sodium, we said, is group 1, so it always have a +1 charge. Sulfur is group 6 with oxygen, so it will have a 2- charge, always. Now, I don't have them matched up, so if I just write NaS, that is not a neutral compound. But once again, I can take the charges and I can bring them down as subscripts for the opposite element. So Na will get a 2 from the charge of sulfur, and sulfur will get a 1 from the charge of sodium, but we don't really write the 1. And so we have Na2S. Make sure that you write the metal first. Okay, that is, the cation is written first by convention. And then we have cesium and nitrogen. Cesium is Cs, and it's a +1. And nitrogen is group 5, so it will always, whoops, I wrote a 5 here, as I was saying, but it will always have a 3- charge. Okay, my cesium is always a +1 because it's a group 1 element. I can't write it as CSN because it would not be balanced, but what I do is I take the charge from the nitrogen and bring it down by the cesium as a subscript. I take the charge from the cesium and bring it down here by the nitrogen as a subscript. So I have CS3 and then N1, but I don't really write the 1. So I have CS3N. That is the correct formula. Now let's look at magnesium and chlorine. Magnesium and chlorine. Chlorine is a group 7, which will always have a -1 charge. Magnesium is a group 2, which will always have a 2+ charge. Learn the placement of these. So learn to tell the charges of the atoms or the ions by looking at where they fall in the periodic table. It will be a huge benefit. It will be much easier for you. So magnesium is a group 2. The group 2 will always form a 2+ charge. So I have magnesium and I have chlorine. However, if I just wrote it as MgCl, it would not be balanced. If I take this and I bring it down by the chlorine, and I take the charge of the chlorine and I bring it by the magnesium, I will have magnesium 1, but I don't write it, Cl2 for the chlorine. And this is balanced, so if I do a -1 +2, +2 times 1 is +2, -1 times 2 is 2-, so it is balanced. Okay, so now let's move on to the last one, lithium and phosphorus. So lithium is a group 1, which means it will always have a +1 charge. Phosphorus is a group 5 with nitrogen, which means it will have a 3- charge. And once again, I can take the charge from the phosphorus and I bring it down by the lithium, and I have the charge by the lithium, bring it down by the phosphorus as subscripts. And therefore I have lithium, and I have a 3 by the lithium and a 1, which I don't write, by the phosphorus, which is, this is the correct formula. Once again, make sure you write the metal first because that is the convention, and then always go back and double check the total amount of charges to make sure that you've done it right. I will erase this and then we will move on to the last slide for chapter 3.